kick things off today with a number that, well, it really makes you stop and think. $314,159. Now, in the wild world of cryptocurrency, this isn't some market price you'd see bouncing around on an exchange. Not even close.
Like, completely different thing.
Exactly. Instead, it's this valuation figure being, well, passionately discussed, championed even, for a digital currency called Picoin, part of the Pi network.
A very specific, very bold number.
It really is. So this deep dive is all about the Pi network and this, frankly, audacious concept they call global consensus value, or GCV.
GCV, yeah.
We're looking at a really interesting article here from HokayNews.com. It's titled Pi Network is Just Getting Started, the GCV Vision of $314,159 and the Future of Decentralized Value. And our mission today really is to try and understand what this GCV actually means. How does it challenge our usual ideas of value? And what could it maybe signal for the future of these decentralized economies?
Big question.
Definitely. So if you're listening and you're curious about, how value could be defined beyond just market speculation and how this huge global community is trying to build something really different, well, you might have a few aha moments today.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating case study, that's for sure.
So let's unpack this. The Pi network, they put this global consensus value, the GCV, out there. $314,159 per Picoin. We know it's not a market price. So what is it then? How does a community even land on a number like that? So precise.
Right, okay. So GCV, it's really important to understand, is primarily a symbolic thing. It's community-driven. It's not dictated by external markets or, Wall Street traders.
It's symbolic.
Yeah. Its purpose, as they frame it, is to reflect Picoin's long-term potential. Think of it in a few ways. As a medium of exchange people actually use, as a store of value, like digital gold maybe, and as a foundation for digital commerce within their own ecosystem.
So it's internally focused initially.
Largely, yes. Unlike, most cryptocurrencies where the value comes from speculation on exchanges, Pi's GCV is supposed to be rooted in collective agreement, in trust, in people actually participating, and crucially, the utility it provides to its users.
Utility, meaning people actually using it for stuff.
Exactly. So it's not just a different way to value it. They're trying to redefine value itself, decoupling it from, those external, often volatile, centralized market forces. It's like a shared goal the community is building towards through actually using Pi.
And the number itself, $314,159. I mean, it's obviously Pi, the mathematical constant. That can't be an accident.
Oh, absolutely not. That choice is loaded with philosophical meaning, really.
How so?
Well, think about Pi, 3.14159. It represents structure, logic, something fundamental and enduring in the universe, right?
Yeah, it's a constant.
Exactly. So by using that number, the Pi network is sort of signaling a commitment to those same ideas for their digital economy. Structure, logic, long-term design. It's a very powerful rallying point for their community, which is massive, by the way.
We'll get to the community size, yeah.
It unites millions of users around this shared kind of visionary optimism. A belief that the project is built on something solid, something fundamental, like Pi itself. It's almost like a shared anchor point.
A shared anchor, I like that. So what does this mean for the average user, a pioneer, as they call them? Because it sounds like this whole approach is meant to empower them.
That's the core idea, yeah.
To let them define the value through how they use it, not just by watching charts or, getting caught up in hype cycles like we see elsewhere in crypto. Why is that difference so key for Pi?
Precisely. The GCV concept, it actively encourages users, the pioneers, to, hold on to their Picoin, yes, but also to transact with it, to build things within the Pi ecosystem.
So use it, don't just hoard it, hoping the price goes up.
Exactly. It reinforces Picoin's role as a functional currency. It's about demonstrating its practical utility in, potentially everyday life.
Yeah.
Seeing it as something you spend, you earn, you build businesses with maybe, rather than just a speculative chip you trade for quick profit. It's a big shift in focus, really, from short-term trading gains to long-term economic activity and community building.
Okay, let's talk about that community. You mentioned it's massive. The source says over 60 million users worldwide.
Yeah, it's staggering.
That's genuinely one of the largest, most active communities in the entire crypto space, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that scale is key to the whole GCV concept.
But how does a community that big actually, drive something like this? How do they reach and then sustain a consensus value, especially one so specific? That sounds incredibly difficult, like a huge coordination challenge.
It is. It absolutely is, and that's kind of the magic, or at least the unique aspect they're aiming for. These pioneers, they're not just passive holders staring at an app. The article describes them as active participants. They're builders, they're running nodes as validators, they're advocates spreading the word.
Okay.
So the GCV vision, it isn't something handed down from, the core development team or some big institution. The idea is that it's genuinely shaped by the community members themselves. Through their collective belief, yes, but also through their actual economic activity within the Pi network.
So it's grassroots.
Very much so, at least in theory. That grassroots foundation is what they believe gives the GCV its power. It makes it a sort of living benchmark, upheld by shared intention and action.
And you mentioned action. It's not just theoretical belief. The source gives actual examples, right? Pioneers using Precoin for daily stuff.
Yes, exactly. It mentions transactions happening in regions across Asia, Africa, Latin America. We're talking about people using Precoin to buy food, clothing, pay for education, access services.
Wow, so real goods, real services. This isn't just, swapping digital tokens back and forth in a closed loop. It's starting to look like a nascent economy.
That's the picture painted, yes. And these real-world use cases, this is what gives actual weight to the GCV concepts.
Right, it grounds it.
Exactly. It transforms it from just being a symbolic number, however meaningful, into something closer to a practical benchmark. It demonstrates Precoin actually has utility, that it can function as a medium of exchange in real places. It's that tangible, on-the-ground activity that validates the community's belief and lets the GCV be more than just an abstract idea.
Okay, but a vision this big, it needs more than just belief in individual transactions, right? It needs infrastructure, a solid ecosystem. What's the article say about how they're building that foundation to make GCV, practical long-term?
Yeah, good point. Belief isn't enough on its own. The article does highlight several critical areas of ecosystem expansion that are needed for GCV to really take hold.
Like what?
Things like launching more decentralized applications, or dApps. These are apps running on the blockchain, offering more ways to actually use Precoin.
So more utility.
More utility, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, supporting merchant adoption, getting businesses to accept Pi, and building payment gateways to make that easier.
Makes sense.
Enhancing their wallet infrastructure, making it more robust, maybe interoperable with other systems down the line, and importantly, strengthening their governance through what are called DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations.
Right, where the community gets to vote on things.
Precisely. Community members making decisions about the network's future. All these pieces are pretty crucial for building out a functional, comprehensive network that could actually support a global currency aiming for that kind of value.
And the article points to some concrete steps they've already taken, like recent developments.
It does, yeah. It mentions a few things as sort of proof points. The rollout of .pi domains, for instance.
Okay, what are those?
They provide unique, sort of human-friendly usernames or identifiers within the Pi ecosystem. Makes things a bit more accessible than long crypto addresses. There's also integration with something called on-ramp money, which supposedly makes it easier for people to get into the Pi economy, and maybe most significantly, the launch of public smart contracts.
Ah, smart contracts. That's big for any blockchain.
Huge. It opens the door for developers, anyone really, to build applications and tools on top of the Pi blockchain. So each of these steps, adds a layer of credibility. It increases Precoin's potential utility and its visibility.
Right.
And that feeds back into the GCV idea. It reinforces the article's point that GCV is meant to be more than just a number. It's a symbol of unity, reflecting this belief that value can be defined by participation and utility, not just by market speculation.
Okay, this vision is, incredibly ambitious, revolutionary maybe. But let's bring it back to Earth for a second. $314,159.
The number.
It's just a staggeringly high figure for any cryptocurrency, especially when you look at, current market conditions for Pi, where it can be traded, however limitedly. The article acknowledges the skepticism, right?
It does. It doesn't shy away from the criticism, which is important.
So how does it frame that huge gap between the GCV vision and the, let's say, observable market price?
Well, it addresses it pretty head-on. It notes that some analysts, crypto market watchers, they argue pretty bluntly that $314,159 per Pi is just unrealistic, especially given that, where it does trade sometimes on IOU markets or futures, the price is often way, way lower. You mentioned around 65 cents the original script.
A massive difference.
Huge. And that creates a real tension, doesn't it? For pioneers trying to reconcile their belief in GCV with what they might see elsewhere. The article also mentions that others view GCV more cynically, maybe as a myth, or even just a clever marketing tactic to keep people engaged and mining on their phones.
Real doubts out there.
Definitely. These are fair points if you're looking at it purely through the lens of traditional crypto markets. The article acknowledges that tension exists.
And what about the Pi core team themselves, the developers? You said GCV isn't imposed by them, but what's their official stance? The article says they've never actually endorsed it as a market target price, right?
Correct. That's a crucial distinction the article makes. They haven't come out and said, yes, Pi will be worth $314,159 on exchanges.
So what do they say?
Their emphasis, and the article quotes this, is essentially, Pi is worth what pioneers make it worth.
Which is ambiguous.
Very ambiguous.
Okay.
And deliberately so, it seems. This ambiguity, as the article points out, has sort of fueled both things.
Yeah.
The incredible enthusiasm and belief within the community, and sometimes quite a bit of confusion.
I can see that.
Yeah, it could definitely lead to unrealistic expectations, especially for users who might not fully grasp the difference between this community consensus value idea and a typical market price driven by supply and demand on exchanges.
So managing expectations is key.
Absolutely. The challenge, as the source suggests, is for the project to balance this really grand, inspiring vision with enough transparency and realism to keep the community informed and, grounded, even while they're reaching for something so ambitious.
Makes sense. Now, the article also talks about holding Pcoin being more than just finance for many pioneers. It calls it a statement of belief.
Yeah, that's a powerful phrase.
What does that really mean for the individual user? What's the emotional or philosophical investment here beyond just hoping it becomes valuable someday?
Well, it touches on a deeper mindset. The article suggests that for many, holding Pi reflects, first, a real trust in the network's long-term vision. Second, a commitment to its core values, things like decentralization, community power, accessibility.
Okay.
And third, just a genuine hope for a different kind of future, maybe one where economic systems are more inclusive, less controlled by central authorities. The GCV concept reinforces all that. It encourages users to see their Pi holdings not just as a speculative token to be flipped.
Right, not just another crypto bet.
Exactly. But as a long-term asset that has cultural meaning, economic meaning within their community. It's an invitation to participate, to build, to transact, to be part of creating that value. Yeah. It makes holding Pi an investment in a vision, not just a potential payout.
An investment in the vision itself. That's interesting, and the article wraps up by saying this belief, this commitment, it's going to be tested, right? As Pi Network keeps growing and faces inevitably real-world hurdles.
Yeah, it acknowledges that the journey is far from over. Challenges will come: technological scaling, market pressures, regulatory questions, maintaining that community cohesion at such a huge scale. That belief will definitely be put to the test.
So, wrapping this up, our deep dive really shows that the Pi Network, with this remarkable global consensus value of $314,159 is, like the article says, just getting started.
Seems that way.
It's clearly not a standard price prediction. It's much more like a declaration of purpose, a statement of intent from this massive global community that wants to define value differently.
Yeah, on their own terms. It's a really fascinating, definitely audacious attempt to rethink how value is created and recognized in the digital age.
A huge gambit in how digital economies might evolve.
Absolutely. And I think the article makes it clear that the real strength of Pi, whatever happens with the price or GCV, it lies in its people.
The pioneers.
The pioneers, exactly.
Yes.
In their collective belief, their willingness to participate actively, and their desire to define value based on utility and community, not just speculation. It's genuinely one of the biggest experiments in decentralized economics we've seen, a real test of collective consensus power, which leaves us with something to think about, maybe. Consider this. We live in this increasingly digital, super interconnected world. How might the very concept of value get redefined?
Right.
Not just by the old guards, the traditional markets and financial institutions, but maybe by, widespread community agreement, by demonstrated real-world usefulness.
Did that happen?
Well, is the Pi Network, with all its ambitions and challenges, maybe offering us a glimpse, however early or imperfect, of what a truly bottom-up approach to global economic systems could look like, where value is genuinely determined by the people, for the people. Definitely something to ponder.